Hey, this is Type V3, and today I'll be taking a look at the Transformers Masterpiece Grimlock, the Hasbro edition. Now, for those who don't know, the Masterpiece line is Hasbro's highest end and most expensive line of Transformers that are currently available for purchase today. They are figures that are highly detailed and have excellent amounts of articulation, as well as designs that closely harken back to their original G1 counterparts. Now, with that out of the way, let's get started on the review for Grimlock. As one of the original Transformers to be based off of a creature as opposed to a vehicle, Grimlock's overall design is a lot more angular and harsh, as opposed to the smooth and slender figure of his Autobot brothers. At first glance, Grimlock appears to be just a gray piece of plastic, but upon closer inspection you'll notice that there are a bunch of metallic painted bits like his arms and claws, and huge amounts of chrome around his belly, neck, and tail. All the little plastic rivets on this guy are amazing, and the teeth, although blunted, are all chrome, and he even has a little flamethrower attachment in his mouth. The gray plastic is usually looked down upon on other Transformers figures, but on Grimlock for some reason it just works, and it's mostly down to the detail. But the figure probably would have looked better in a more metallic sheen. When it comes to posability, Grimlock has a lot to offer in this alt mode. Starting with his head, the neck is on a ratcheted joint, the bottom of it is on a swivel, you can open his mouth up, his arms are each on ball joints, and the elbow joint here can do a full 180 degrees. Each one of the claws can be independently posed. The legs themselves are each on ball joints. There is a thigh swivel. Unfortunately, this looks like a double jointed knee, but it actually can only bend at the bottom, not at the top. Also, these claws here can be folded in or out as you wish. The tail itself can be moved ever so slightly, and the chrome tip can be moved a little bit more. Combining all his points of articulation together, Grimlock can come up with some pretty stunning and vicious poses. It just makes him look like a real evil mechanical dinosaur, and it really suits well to the dumb personality of this Autobot Commander. It's also worth noting that never before have I ever been able to have this much fun toying around with a Transformer in his alt mode as I have with Grimlock. Grimlock also comes with a host of interesting features in this mode. When it comes to the character's origin, there have always been two schools of thought: the cartoon-accurate Blue Eyes or the comic accurate red. Now, Hasbro has gone around this and just added both eyes in, and so by opening up his head, taking this and flipping it around, you can give him the comic red eyes as opposed to the cartoon blue. Now this of course makes him look a lot more evil, but that's how he did look in the comics, so that's a pretty cool touch. Now the second of Grimlock's features in this mode involve his tail. Now to activate this, you kinda have to hold down his feet for stability, but you just move his tail side to side and his head will follow in the opposite direction. It's pretty cool. Honestly, I don't really use it though, but it's cool that they put it in, and I think a lot of kids would probably enjoy this little gimmick they've had. If there's ever been a Transformer whose alt mode mattered equally as important as their robot mode, then Grimlock is definitely the bot. I feel like Hasbro really hit the nail on the head when designing this guy, and it's mostly down to all the details they used in making him. His paint scheme is gorgeous with the bits of chrome and metallic placements that they have, and what's most important is that he's actually playable and posable in this form. It's the first time that I ever really considered having a Transformer on my shelf displayed in his full alt mode. Of course, this is only half the story, as Grimlock's robot mode is a whole different beast altogether. Large Transformers, especially Masterpiece figures, are expected to have complicated and long transformations. However, Grimlock goes against the norm and shows you that there is elegance and simplicity. And this is mostly due to the fact that this transformation closely resembles his original G1 toy. The most complicated item to transform on Grimlock is his tail, but even then, they fold neatly together to create his feet. In truth, the only real difficulty you'll have transforming this guy is just deciding on where to hold them. Because this is effectively a leader class toy, it's going to be hard to hold them in one place and transform them efficiently, so expect to use two hands at all times. This simple transformation also means that you'll be able to toy around with Grimlock without having to worry about setting aside time to transform such a large figure. Upon completion, we end up with what is possibly the best looking Dinobot Commander. Grimlock's design is absolutely stunning. His proportions are all correct, and he's big, meaty, and chunky. There is a huge amount of gray, as well as an extensive amount of chrome gold all over this guy. I especially enjoy the intricate gold chrome underneath the clear plastic that surrounds that Autobot symbol on his chest. Even the bright red on his waist is beautiful. His head sculpt is also another example of excellent design, as the gunmetal gray of the mouthguard and the black helmet work well together, and the nice little detailed rivets all over his forehead are a nice touch as well. And when looking from his profile, you could tell that Grimlock is one big and beefy Transformer. When it comes to articulation, Grimlock's Poseability has mostly been unchanged compared to his alt mode. For starters, these arms, or what used to be the dinosaur's legs, still are identical. I mean, they still have the giant ball joint, there is a cut for the bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow, and now this fist here can come in a little bit due to the transformation. The head is on a magnificent ball joint that can almost look completely upwards at certain angles, and that is a nice welcome feature. It doesn't look like it, but there is a waist swivel right there. It doesn't go all the way around, but it goes enough that there is some good play in it. The hips are on double jointed hinges, so one will go out like this, and the other one will go forwards. There is a thigh cut. The knees are on heavy ratchet joints, and the ankles themselves have a little bit of play. Not much, but there is something there. Grimlock's hands are also pretty interesting. Here in his left hand, he has a fully opposable thumb, which is a nice little feature they have. The index finger can come out on its own, and then the other three fingers are kind of molded together, but they can move out on themselves. There's also a little hole here, and you'll notice that each of his weapons come with a little sort of notch that can go in there. So when you place it in together, just like that, and then you want to probably close up the fist, put the thumb in place, you can hold a gun. The same thing can be had with the sword as well, and this one it's easier to see right there. Now, Grimlock's right hand is probably the more interesting of the two hands, because this one sacrifices articulation and added stability of that extra notch for something else entirely. For one thing, there is a button on the back of this arm that when you press, a light appears. So if you can guess correctly, when you put in a weapon such as his sword, it will glow in the dark, just like that. The same thing can be done with the gun, and that is just a matter of plugging it in, turning on some of the lights, and that's pretty much that. Now, the last accessory that Masterpiece Grimlock comes with is this crown. Now, this crown is to replicate the King Grimlock persona that Grimlock had usually in the Marvel comics. Now, to alleviate this problem of him having the blue eyes from the cartoon, the team at Hasbro have decided to add in another little tab here, and when you pull it up, the eyes switch to red to give off the original comic-looking red eyes. Now you add in the crown, and we have ourselves King Grimlock, and he just looks terrifying. Utilizing all his features and accessories, it's easy to see now that Grimlock's robot mode is the main star of this masterpiece figure. With changeable eye colors and the addition of his crown, you can get Grimlock to look anywhere from vicious Dinobot leader to heroic Autobot commander. But in truth, it doesn't really matter which one you choose because he's always going to look stunning. Even just standing there, Grimlock will strike fear into the eyes of any opposing Decepticons. If I have any gripes with this figure, it's basically that he doesn't feel as solid or sturdy as I'd want him to be. Basically, whenever I move any of his pieces, his arms, he just seems to jiggle around a lot. It's kind of annoying. You know, you could pull from his leg and he starts to jiggle. He doesn't feel as locked in together as I'd like. Also, regarding his ratcheting knees, they're so tight, and every time I ratchet them, the chest inevitably seems to pop up. They're small little issues, but there's some things that I don't like. Also, it's worth noting that these little red and white stripes kind of look cheap. I can live with them, but I don't know. They don't feel like they match up to the quality of the other paint apps on this figure. Overall, Masterpiece Grimlock is an excellent figure. By having both his robot mode and his alt mode fully realized through excellent design, as well as an inclusion of a host of accessories, he's definitely a Transformer I can recommend to both casual and super collectors alike. Standing around 10 inches tall, or about the same size as a leader class figure, Grimlock is definitely worth his $60 asking price, but to be honest, I would have been happy paying anything just short of $100 as well. And if you're into the whole classics aesthetic of Transformers, don't fret here, because Masterpiece Grimlock definitely fits in well with any other classic style Transformers. Sure, he may look large at first, but he is of course a dinosaur, and G1 was riddled with mass shifting anyways. On the other hand, if you have yet to dive into the Masterpiece line of Transformers, Masterpiece Grimlock is an excellent place to start. I guarantee you'll fall in love with his simple and elegant transformation, and whether you leave him posed on a shelf or played with on your desk, Masterpiece Grimlock will provide enjoyment for years to come. Of course, there is also that chance that he may provoke you to buy other more expensive Masterpiece figures. Anyways, there you have it, the review of Masterpiece Grimlock. This has been Type V3, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.